The early 2000s to later 2010s was a pretty big turning point from niche nerd culture becoming popular and mainstream. Yeah, believe it or not, anime is now mainstream. With this newfound popularity and increased size and scope, the convention scene saw a huge shift. What used to be small get-togethers of under 100 people, usually less, is now having attendees in the thousands. Some conventions handled it well, some were DashCon. While disastrous, you gotta admit, these conventions are always pretty entertaining to hear about in hindsight. Is it a little cruel to be laughing at others' misfortune? Maybe, but I can't help it. I'll cut straight to the chase. This video's topic is about Crunchyroll Expo. I'ma level with you, it's nowhere near as disastrous as DashCon, but it sure as hell was a disaster. And I have other things to toss up about Crunchyroll as a company too, so stay tuned. Crunchyroll Expo isn't a first-time convention, and they had held some in the United States previously, but this video isn't centered around that. Instead, it's about their first Go convention in Melbourne, Australia, taking place the weekend of September 17th and 18th of 2022. The disaster was brewing before the convention even started. The artists who would have booths at the Artist Alley weren't sent confirmations of their acceptance until 6 weeks before the convention. By the way, 6 weeks is very short. Most artists ended up forking over the express shipping fees to make sure they had their stock in time for the convention because of the short notice. God forbid you're an out-of-state artist paying for a flight within a 6-week time frame.
20,000?
Despite the confirmations being sent at a very late 6-week notice, Crunchyroll Expo never actually put out a public list of the people in the Artist Alley until literally the night before the convention, and even then, the list was incomplete. They are asking for table names. Finally, checks calendar. 2 days away from the con! The way they listed tables were confusing too. It used 2 different labeling systems and confused both artists and attendees alike. Many artists usually split or share booths for conventions, and those who just want to figure out where the hell their tables were pinging each other in the Discord to figure out if they're next to each other. The Artist Alley application Google form was left editable, so literally anyone could edit the form. Are you accepting your place at the Arts District? Yes. Maybe. I am super gay. Accept these. Double checking. No commercially produced or copyright infringement on your booth? Yes. Yes. Balls.
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Crunchyroll Australia Arts District acceptance form. New form just got emailed out. This one belongs to the gays. The special level of incompetence this requires. Google Forms automatically is set to do not edit, and it warns you like 5 million times that you're giving editing access. The actual convention started as badly as it could have. Crowds, loads of crowds. The lines were extremely long and people couldn't get in. Not even 5 hours into opening and people were already being denied entry because they were out of wristbands. The convention's social media made announcements about how they were only able to let in a small amount of people due to safety restrictions, although allegedly people were turned away at the door for one reason or another, like lack of wristbands or just max capacity. Whether true or not, people were turned away, and once they got turned away, their only choice was to return to the line or leave. They sold 8,000 tickets for both Saturday and Sunday, and they even continued selling tickets throughout the whole con, despite the venue having a max capacity of 5,000 people. The long line is especially a problem as on Saturday it was quite rainy, and people are in full-on cosplay getting drenched and then frozen by mid-September Melbourne air. Despite the huge crowds outside of the convention, and despite the official announcement saying they are closed, inside of the convention the turnout is actually pretty low, and many artists got fewer sales than they would have expected, being in the red on day one. The Crunchyroll stage is blasting music so loud it's at a baseline of 85 decibels, and is often much higher. Hey guys, did you know that the legal decibel limit is 65? The sound is so loud that people look like they're in physical pain when the beats hit. There's noticeably an area of the con with 9 slots of fully set up areas, just missing, someone tabling there, even though the con had a huge list of people who were declined a slot. The sound somehow gets even louder when a Japanese singer Asuka holds a concert. Meanwhile, outside of the convention, people are starting to find out that they're still selling tickets, despite the huge crowd, lack of wristbands, and the official announcement saying that they're closed. Attendees who waited up to 5 hours in line only to be turned away are starting to riot and force their way in. The bite of Crunchyroll happens. Apparently, one of the volunteers was bitten. There's no images, but a lot of people made the same claim at the same time, so even if false, the morale is so bad that it's at least a rumor in the crowd. More unsubstantiated but common claims include a fight, hospitalizations, and apparently a My Little Pony body pillow incident. Whatever that means. Welcome to Crunchyroll Expo Australia. Stay tuned to our socials for updates all weekend. Coming to you live from the line, it's 11:47. I'm hungry and cold. 12 p.m. We have finished our cheesy garlic bread and moved maybe 20 meters. The gods have pitied us. Amen. My pain is immeasurable. There was another bend. Why God, why must you do this to me? 12:20. It's been 2+ hours and I'm on the last line before making it into the con. I might be too late to buy what I wanted. 12:30. I'm looking through the glass like I'm some orphan out in the cold and rain. 103. I don't know how long I've been in line, but I feel like I have arthritis and my bones and joints and muscles ache. Lord, please forgive me for my past sins. I'm sorry, my lord. I have decided to be a pacifist as the cold pain engulfs my body. I feel sorry for the staff. 150. I have found out that they merged one of the lines into the final one. I have been betrayed. Does my pain mean nothing? 205. Nah, cause everyone is pushing in because of the rain. I'm getting rained on. How am I supposed to be a pacifist in these conditions? Nah, I'm gonna cry. People who came in after us got in before. Nah, cause tell me why when I got in and we were talking to the artist, I find out someone was caught beating it to a My Little Pony body pillow. Crunchyroll staff crashes a My Hero Academia cosplay meetup outside of the convention halls, and quote, I'm in these photos, and the fact that Crunchyroll Expo staff had to crash our meet in order to get photos of people having fun really goes to show how shit their con was. Half of the people in these photos never even managed to get inside of the con. Disabled people or people with mobility aids are also forced to wait in the long line and huge crowd. Allegedly, one person had their mobility aids taken by security. The convention in general was very inaccessible to people with disabilities. Meanwhile, hopping back into the convention, someone found maggots in their sealed Crunchyroll art book. By this time, many of the signings and meet and greets with high-profile guests are ending, so if you had bought a ticket, usually in the over $100 range, and weren't able to get in because of the crowd, well, that's your loss, because they aren't giving refunds. People on Twitter are trying to spread PSAs for attendees to call their banks for their money back, since the convention support isn't getting back to anyone. Melbourne Australian news start getting in on the drama, and Crunchyroll Expo crowd hit mainstream Australian news. And well, that's day 1 of Crunchyroll Expo. As far as I could tell, the crowd issue was managed a little bit better on Sunday. Whether that's because Crunchyroll decided to hire more security, or if attendees were just so washed out that they didn't want to deal with the second day is up to your interpretation. A lot of issues like the confusing table label system, the sound levels, and the inaccessibility to disabled people still bled through till Sunday, but it was overall less chaotic. However, one thing though, is that the convention just opened early and didn't notify the artists. So a lot of artists had their stuff stolen because no one was able to watch their tables. Well, other than that disaster, at least the convention survived to see the end of the weekend. But I still have a little bit more to say, so sit back down. This may be the end of the disaster convention saga, but it's the start of something more. So the expo isn't the only reason that Crunchyroll has been in hot water recently. Well, I say recently, but the truth is that for a few years, it's been a pretty big point of contention that Crunchyroll is just a really pathetic company. Crunchyroll got its start as an anime pirating website, you know, the illegal watch anime for free type of thing, and then they transferred into becoming one of the first anime streaming services. And as a streaming service, it does its job mildly well. But the problem that most people take is with their English subtitling and English dubbing of anime shows. It's pretty big as these would be the official dubs and subs for a lot of animes. The subtitles are accurate, the English dubbing is quite good, and the voice actors and actresses are very talented. I know English dubs are actually quite widely mocked, but trust me, it's not that bad. Some of the performances are actually quite good. Both the subs and dubs go out on Crunchyroll on the same day as the animes air in Japan, so you don't need to fear being left behind. The problem? The amount of pay these translators and voice actors are given. I had to rewrite this entire end of the section because of the recent news. Basically, the recent tea is that Bayonetta voice actor Helena Taylor, literally one of the most iconic voices in recent pop culture history.
If you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
Yeah, her. She came out saying that she wasn't gonna work on Bayonetta 3 because they only offered to pay her a flat $4,000 for the role. A $450 million profit game, not including merchandise, $4,000. Barely 2 months of rent. This resulted in a wave of newfound awareness for the voice actor industry, and others started coming out about their payments. This kind of proves that voice actors have always been treated pretty poorly in all industries, from gaming to anime dubs, and while I'm aware that the grass is greener on the other side, I do have to say it's still shitty. Crunchyroll, as one of the biggest overseas animes providers and quite possibly the biggest English dubbing providers, does have a huge effect on the voice acting industry as a whole. Jujutsu Kaisen, the movie that grossed $50 million in the US alone and was primarily screened with the English voice acting. $150 for a role. Kyle McCarley, the voice actor for the main character in Mob Psycho 100, had to drop out of his role for season 2, all because Crunchyroll didn't want to comply with union contracts. You know, union contracts, the thing that's supposed to make sure that human beings are treated with the bare minimum of a safe work environment and a reasonable wage for their services. Crunchyroll deserves every bit of criticism coming their way. We thought that things would improve. Get better when Crunchyroll was bought out by Sony. You know, a big budget increase, maybe they can be less stingy with how they pay their translators and voice actors. But no, they throw that money on their shitty Crunchyroll ideas. Crunchyroll Expo, their VTuber, their shitty Anime of the Year awards, fucking High Guardian Spice. But no, support the industry. Did you know that your subscription helps pay for and support anime companies? We're totally implying that by canceling your subscription, you'll be harming other anime studios by this decision. Even though we pay a flat, solid licensing fee for our animes and no residuals or anything else like that, so realistically, the number of subscriptions doesn't affect how much real anime studios get paid for their production. Insulting is what it is. Like they're paying actually unlivable wages, but they waste money on their shitty original shows and disastrous conventions. They pretend and use the guise of supporting anime studios to guilt trip people into thinking that by supporting them, you are supporting the people who make anime, even though it's completely false. The worst part, Crunchyroll Expo is definitely for sure gonna be returning. Crunchyroll is a big anime streaming service. No matter how much they pay their translators and voice actors with the bare minimum wages, no matter how badly they run their convention, it's going to return and they're not gonna go away. The only hope is that they get their shit together and organize a better convention next time. Downer note to end the video on, but it is what it is. Or maybe it doesn't have to end on a downer note. Now that I've aired out a lot of Crunchyroll's problems, I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate and say that maybe Pirating anime isn't such a bad thing. Keep in mind what I said, Crunchyroll pays a fixed amount to license the anime. No matter how popular the anime is, no matter how many times you watch it, the creators and translators and voice actors don't see a cent of it. With Crunchyroll raising their subscription from $8 to $10 a month, I'm advising that you can probably cancel it with no repercussions to anyone. But how do you really support creators? Well, buy merch, buy manga, and buy Blu-rays. Most physical goods like anime figures and buttons and charms, especially direct forms like Blu-ray, almost always has residuals for the creators. Thanks for watching. I don't really have any notes to end the video on, but maybe subscribe to my Patreon. I think I'm relaunching it by the time this video will be up, so I'll see you soon. Oh, and also I'm expecting 10K by the time this video goes up, so thanks for that!